Hello everyone and welcome back to EverlastCyber. In today's video, we'll be going through some practice questions and answers for the Palo Alto Networks Certified Network Security Engineer. So without wasting further time, we're going to kick right off with question 1. When configuring a GlobalProtect portal, what is the purpose of specifying an authentication profile? A. To enable gateway authentication to the portal. B. To enable portal authentication to the gateway. C. To enable user authentication to the portal. D. To enable client machine authentication to the portal. In option A, the gateway does not authenticate to the portal, rather, users authenticate to the portal before accessing the gateway. Option B is also incorrect because the portal does not authenticate to the gateway. Instead, users authenticate to the portal first and then they connect to the gateway. Looking at option C, an authentication profile in the GlobalProtect portal configuration. An authentication profile in the GlobalProtect portal configuration is used to validate users before granting them access to download the GlobalProtect agent and retrieve VPN configurations. So, the authentication profile can integrate with LDAP, Radius, SAML, Kerberos, or local databases to verify users. In option D, while machine certificates can be used for authentication, the primary purpose of the authentication profile is to validate users and not machines. So, our answer is option C. When configuring a GlobalProtect portal, what is the purpose of specifying an authentication profile? It is to enable user authentication to the portal. Question 2. A customer wants to set up a VLAN interface for a Layer 2 Ethernet port. Which two mandatory options are used to configure a VLAN interface? In this question, we'll be selecting two answers. Option A, virtual router. B, security zone. C, ARP entries. D, NetFlow profile. A VLAN interface requires a virtual router to handle Layer 3 traffic while inter-VLAN routing is needed. It enables communication between different VLANs and the external network. So this is likely one of our answers. In option B, a VLAN interface must be assigned to a security zone to enforce security policies and traffic control in a firewall environment. Looking at option C, ARP or Address Resolution Protocol entries are automatically learned and maintained dynamically by the device. And in option D, a NetFlow profile is used for network traffic monitoring and analysis, but it is not required to set up a VLAN interface. So it is not an optional feature for collecting flow statistics. So our correct answers here are options A and B. They are both required for configuring a VLAN interface, while the other two options are not mandatory. So our answer is options A, virtual router, and option B, security zone. Question 3. An administrator has been asked to configure a Palo Alto Networks NGFW to provide protection against worms and Trojans. Which security profile type will protect against worms and Trojans? A. Anti-spyware. B. Instruction prevention. C. File blocking. D. Antivirus. Anti-spyware detects and prevents spyware and command and control traffic, but it does not target worms and Trojans. In option B, this option seems to be like a typo or an incorrect terminology, because if this is referring to instruction prevention, then it primarily focuses on detecting and blocking exploits rather than scanning for worms and Trojans. Remember, for every question that they give, despite the options that you're given, you need to go through each and every one of them and then select the one that best answers the question. In option C, file blocking controls file transfers based on their types, but it does not scan for or removes malware like worms and Trojans. Option D, the antivirus security profile detects and blocks malware, which includes worms, trojans, and viruses, and it does this by scanning traffic for non-malicious signatures. So our answer here is option D. Antivirus provides a real-time protection by checking inbound and outbound files for malicious content. Question 4. Which CLI command is used to simulate traffic going through the firewall and determines which security policy rule, NAT translation, static routes, or PBF rule will be triggered by the traffic? A. Check. B. Find. C. Test. D. SYN. Option A is not a valid command for simulating traffic in a Palo Alto Networks firewall. Option B, the find command is used for searching within the CLI but not for simulating traffic. The test command allows administrators to simulate traffic and determine which security policy, NAT, static route, or policy-based forwarding rule that will be applied. So for instance, there are different types of test command. There is a test security policy match. There is a test NAT policy match. There are different types of commands that you can use the tests for, and this allows administrators to simulate traffic and determine the best policy that will be applied. In option D, SYN is not a valid Palo Alto CLI command, so our answer here is option C. If we can see on the screen, the test command is used in conjunction with the security policy match, and this checks which security policy will be triggered for the given traffic. So this is the CLI command that is used to simulate traffic going through the firewall to determine which security policy rule will be triggered by the traffic. Question 5. An administrator has been asked to configure active-passive HA for a pair of Palo Alto Networks NGFWs. The administrator assigns priority 100 to the active firewall. Which priority is correct for the passive firewall? A. 0, B. 99, C. 1, D. 255. Option A is not a valid priority value in the Palo Alto high availability configuration. Option B, let's take a look at it. So in an active passive high availability configuration for firewall for Palo Alto Networks NGFWs, the firewall with the lower priority value becomes the active firewall. The passive firewall, on the other hand, should have a higher priority value to take over if the active firewall fails. So there's a priority values range from 1 to 255, where the lower values have higher priority. In the case of the scenario we have here, the administrator has assigned priority 100 to the active firewall. So the passive firewall should have a higher priority value, such as 99 or higher, to ensure that it remains in standby mode. So when the one that has 100 fails, it will automatically switch to the one that has 99 or higher. Option C, 1 is too low and it could become the active firewall instead, while option D, which is the highest priority value, is typically used to ensure that the firewall never becomes active unless absolutely necessary. So our answer here is option B, 99. Question 6. Which service protects cloud-based applications such as Dropbox and Salesforce by administering permissions and scanning files for sensitive information? A. Aperture. B. Autofocus. C. Panorama. D. GlobalProtect. Aperture is a Palo Alto Networks cloud access security broker solution that provides visibility, monitoring, and security controls for cloud applications like Dropbox, Google Drive, Office 365, and Salesforce. Its features include data loss prevention, malware detection, and user activity monitoring in SaaS applications. Autofocus is a threat intelligence tool that provides insight into malware and attack trends, but it does not protect cloud applications. Panorama is a centralized management system for Palo Alto firewalls and it is used for policy enforcement and log management, but it does not specifically scan cloud-based applications for sensitive data. GlobalProtect is a VPN solution that provides secure remote access to enterprise networks, but it does not administer permissions or scans cloud applications for sensitive information. So our answer here is option A. Aperture provides visibility, monitoring, and security controls for cloud applications like Dropbox, Salesforce, Google Drive, and Office 365 because the features include data loss prevention, malware detection, and user activity monitoring for SaaS applications. Question 7. Based on the security policy rules shown, SSH will be allowed on which ports? A. 80, B. 53, C. 22, D. 23. Our answer here is option C because SSH works only on port 22. Question 8. Which Palo Alto Networks firewall security platform provides network security for mobile endpoints by inspecting traffic deployed as internet gateways? A. GlobalProtect, B. Autofocus, C. Aperture, D. Panorama. GlobalProtect is Palo Alto's network VPN and endpoint security solution that provides network security for mobile endpoints. It inspects traffic from remote users by acting as an internet gateway in order to enforce security policies, and it also ensures secure access to corporate networks by extending firewall protection to remote devices. Autofocus is a threat intelligence tool that helps security teams to analyze malware trends, but it doesn't provide network security for mobile endpoints. Aperture is a cloud-based security broker that is used for protecting cloud-based applications, but it is not used for mobile endpoints. While Panorama is a centralized firewall management tool that is used for monitoring or managing multiple Palo Alto firewalls, but it does not provide security for mobile endpoints. So our answer here is option A, GlobalProtect. Question 9. Decrypted packets from the website https://www.microsoft.com will appear as which application and service within the traffic log? A. Web browsing and 443. B. SSL and 80. C. SSL and 443. D. Web browsing and 80. We'll be going with option A here. So when SSL decryption is enabled, encrypted HTTPS traffic, which usually appears as SSL, is decrypted and identified as the underlying application. In this scenario we have here, since the website's address is a standard web page, the Palo Alto firewall will recognize the traffic as application, which is web browsing because it is the standard web traffic after decryption. And then it also recognizes the service port, which is 443 in the case of HTTPS because it uses TCP port 443. So the decrypted packets from the website will appear as web browsing and the service within the traffic log will show as 443. Question 10. Which update option is not available to administrators? A. New spyware notifications. B. New URLs. C. New application signatures. D. New malicious domains. E. New antivirus signatures. Palo Alto does not provide new spyware notifications as a separate updates category. Spyware detection updates are included in antivirus or anti-spyware signature updates, but there is no specific new spyware notifications update option available to administrators. Remember, the question is which update option is not available to administrator. Looking at the other options B, C, D, and E, these are available. Administrators can configure automatic updates for URL filtering databases. They can also use the new application signatures. It will show us a new app ID update, and it provides new application signatures to recognize and control applications. New malicious domains is also an update that is included in threat prevention updates, and it helps to detect and block malicious domains. And the new antivirus signature is regularly updated in order to detect the latest viruses, malware, worms, and Trojan. So out of the options, the update that is not available to administrators is option A, new spyware notifications. Question 11. If a template stack is assigned to a device and the stack includes 3 templates with overlapping settings, which settings are published to the device when the template stack is pushed? A. The settings assigned to the template that is on top of the stack. B. The administrator will be promoted to choose the settings for that chosen firewall. C. All the settings configured in all templates. D. Depending on the firewall location, Panorama decides which settings to send. We'll be going with option A for this question. So in Panorama, the centralized management system for Palo Alto network firewalls, when a template stack is applied to a device, the stack allows for overlapping settings from multiple templates. If there are conflicts or overlapping settings, the topmost template in the stack takes precedence and its settings will be pushed to the device. So the template stack follows a top-down approach, and this means that settings from templates higher in the stack will override those from templates that are lower in the stack for overlapping configurations. So based on the scenario, the settings that are published to the device when the template stack is pushed are the settings assigned to the template that is on top of the stack. Question 12. An administrator encountered problems with inbound decryption. Which option should the administrator investigate as part of triage? A. Security policy rule allowing SSL to the target server. B. Firewall connectivity to a CRL. C. Root certificate imported into the firewall with trust enabled. D. Importation of a certificate from an HSM. In option A, while security policy rules can impact the ability to allow SSL traffic, they are not the primary cause of issues with inbound decryption. The primary issue with decryption usually lies in the certificate trust or configuration rather than the security policy itself. In option B, the certificate revocation list is used to verify that certificates have not been revoked. If the firewall cannot access the CRL, it will be unable to verify the validity of certificates during the decryption process, and this will lead to inbound decryption failures. So ensuring connectivity to the certificate revocation list is a crucial step in troubleshooting SSL decryption problems. In option C, while importing the root certificate is necessary for SSL decryption, this is generally not the primary cause of issues unless the certificate is misconfigured or it is not correctly trusted. In option D, the hardware security modules are used for storing private keys securely, but they are not involved in the inbound decryption scenarios unless the firewall is set up to use an HSM for certificates management. So out of the options we have, the correct answer would be option B. The certificate revocation list is used to verify that certificates have not been revoked, and ensuring connectivity to the certificate revocation list is a crucial step in troubleshooting SSL decryption problems. Question 13. Which file is used to save the running configuration with a Palo Alto Networks firewall? A. runningconfig.xml. B. runconfig.xml. C. runningconfiguration.xml. D. runconfiguration.xml. In this, we'll begin with option A. The running configuration file on a Palo Alto Networks firewall is saved as running-config.xml. This file contains all the current settings and configurations applied to the firewall. So, running-config.sml is the default file name used to represent the active configuration that is currently running on the device. Question 14. Which two virtualization platforms officially support the deployment of Palo Alto Networks VM series firewall? A. Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization. B. Kernel Virtualization Module. C. Bootstrap Virtualization Module. D. Microsoft's Hyper-V. Our answer here will be options A and D. So the Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization is one of the officially supported virtualization platforms for deploying Palo Alto Networks VM series firewall. Also, Hyper-V, which is Microsoft's virtualization platform, is also an officially supported environment for the deployment of Palo Alto Networks VM series firewalls. So our answer here is options A and D. Question 15. Which captive portal mode must be configured to support MFA authentication? A. NTLM. B. Redirect. C. Single sign-on. D. Transparent. The NTLM or NT-LAN Manager is a Windows authentication protocol that is used for single sign-on, but it does not support MFA on its own. It is typically used in environments where the NT-LAN Manager authentication is required, so MFA is not inherently part of this process. In option B, redirect mode is the captive portal mode that must be configured to support multi-factor authentication. In this mode, users are redirected to an external authentication server which can handle MFA as part of the authentication process. In option C, single sign-on mode enables authentication using credentials that may already be cached from the user's session, but it does not specifically address the use of MFA by default. SSO can be used in conjunction with MFA, but redirect mode is required in order to integrate external MFA solutions. In option D, transparent mode allows a firewall to detect and authenticate users without requiring them to be redirected to a login page. However, this mode does not inherently support MFA either. MFA always requires a redirect mode for proper integration with external MFA systems. So our answer here is option B. Question 16. Which method does an administrator use to integrate all non-native MFA platforms in PAN-OS software? A. Okta. B. Duo. C. Radius. D. Ping ID. Okta is a cloud-based identity management solution that can support MFA, but it will typically be integrated through Radius or SAML, but not directly as an MFA platform in PAN-OS. Duo is a multi-factor authentication provider that also integrates with PAN-OS via Radius or other protocols. While Duo itself provides MFA, it still requires Radius for integration with Palo Alto firewalls. Radius, or Remote Authentication Dialing User Service, is the method used to integrate non-native MFA solutions or platforms with PAN-OS. With Radius, you can integrate third-party MFA solutions like Duo, Okta, and Ping ID into the Palo Alto Networks firewall or Panorama by using a Radius server that facilitates the MFA process. Ping ID is another MFA solution that can be used with PAN-OS, but it typically integrates through Radius or SAML, not directly as the method within PAN-OS. So our answer here is option C. Radius is a method that an administrator would use to integrate all non-native MFA platforms in PAN-OS software. Question 17. How does an administrator schedule an applications and threats dynamic update while delaying installation of the updates for a certain amount of time? A. Configure the option for threshold. B. Disable automatic updates during weekdays. C. Automatically download only and then install application and threats later after the administrator approves the update. D. automatically download and install, but with the disable new applications options used. In this, we'll be going with option C. By doing this, it ensures that updates do not immediately impact the network, and it allows time for testing and verification before it will be deployed. This is in order not to disrupt business activities or cause service downtime. Question 18. Which Palo Alto Networks component provides consolidated policy creation and centralized management? A. GlobalProtect. B. Panorama. C. Prima SaaS. C. Prisma SaaS. D. Autofocus. For this, we'll be going with option B. Panorama is Palo Alto Networks' centralized management solution that allows administrators to create and enforce security policies across multiple firewalls from a single interface. It provides visibility, automation, and orchestration for managing network security at scale, thereby making it an essential tool for enterprises with multiple Palo Alto Networks firewall. Question 19. Which 5 Zero Trust concepts does the Palo Alto Networks firewall apply to achieve an integrated approach to prevent threats? For this, we'll be choosing 5 out of the 6 options. A. User identification. B. Filtration protection. C. Vulnerability protection. D. Antivirus. E. Application identification. F. Anti-spyware. The correct answers here are options A, C, D, E, and F, and I'll just go through each one of them. Palo Alto Networks Firewall applies Zero Trust principle by implementing multiple security mechanisms in order to identify, inspect, and block potential threats. So, the following 5 concepts aligns with the Zero Trust model. The first is user identification. This associates network traffic with specific users and roles rather than just their IP addresses, thereby enforcing identity-based security policies. The second is vulnerability protection. This detects and blocks exploits targeting known vulnerabilities in application and operating system. The third one is antivirus. It scans and prevents malware infections, including viruses, trojans, and other malicious files. The fourth one is the application identification. It identifies applications regardless of the ports, protocols, or encryption by using a granular control over the network traffic. The fifth one is the anti-spyware. So this detects and prevents spyware and command and control communication, stopping malicious activity before it spreads. Question 20. Which Palo Alto Networks VM series firewall is valid? A. VM25. B. VM800. C. VM50. D. VM400. We'll be going with option C. The Palo Alto Networks VM series firewalls are virtualized next-generation firewalls designed for cloud and virtual environments. The valid VM series models includes VM50, VM100, VM300, VM500, and VM700. Each of these models offers different levels of performance, capacity, and security features depending on the workload and the deployment requirements. The other option, VM25, is not a valid model in the Palo Alto Networks VM series lineup. The VM800 model does not exist in the Palo Alto Networks VM series firewall, as well as VM400. So Palo Alto Networks does not offer a VM400 model. The closest options are the VM300 and the VM500. So the valid model once again are VM50, VM100, VM300, VM500, and VM700. This brings us to the end of the video for the questions and answers. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and also hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified when our next informative video will drop. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.